Okay, what we have on here is operational targets, objectives, and I've also got a report out from KPMG, which is called 10 Mega Trends, which is actually part of the manufacturing syllabus for the year for the 2015 paper in AQA. But I think this here is just really interesting, and how it's going to work, and the dynamics of it, and hopefully I can get this across in this particular lesson. But anyway, operational targets, objectives are getting good quality standards, maybe through the process of total quality management or quality assurance, or getting hold of cost minimization. And this is when you have a lower cost base than any other firm, and because you've got a lower cost base than any other firm, you can always beat them on price. Trying to increase your capacity, because if you can increase your capacity, then your fixed cost per unit will fall, so therefore you're going to make more profits. Developing innovative products, obviously here we're always going to be talking about the iPhone or something like that. Reducing lead times. If you can get your product to the market much more quickly, which is exactly what Zara does in the fashion industry. I think it's got a lead time about 3 weeks. So you can have Madonna appearing on stage, and 3 weeks later those garments are put out onto the marketplace. Now that gives them a big advantage in terms of everybody else. Environmental targets are becoming more and more important. Increasing capacity utilization. Sorry, I've got the same thing twice here. Increasing capacity utilization. Capacity utilization is just a term that we use, a formula that we use to show what our capacity is, whether it's 100% capacity, which is at maximum, obviously maximum capacity there, and also improving quality, and you improve quality via quality standards on here. Now, if you follow all of those principles and all those targets on there, then your firm is going to, one, it's going to be able to charge higher prices, and secondly, it's going to be able to reduce costs. Okay. Now, according to the KPMG reports, they came out with 10 mega trends for the future in terms of manufacturing in the UK. And obviously, lean production and operations management is really all about manufacturing. It's not just about manufacturing, but it's about manufacturing and the processes that are involved. So they believe that the factory of the future is going to change. So no longer are we going to produce all our goods in China, but we may have our factory based in the UK, and we're going to use automation. And if we do that, then we may actually be more cost effective than firms used to be when they used to produce in China. Now that's come back to the stage of nearshoring, which is slightly from onshoring. Onshoring is when you bring the manufacturing back to the UK. I'm talking from a UK perspective here. But nearshoring is saying, well, we might move everything to Eastern Europe because it's closer to us. Maybe perhaps a few language barriers. There's certainly fewer barriers in terms of distance. There's going to be a huge demand shift to the east, and that's because 40% of the world lives in India and China. So therefore, a lot of firms will try and enter those markets. Now, according to Ansos Matrix, this of course is a much bigger risk. However, that's where the demand is. So that's where you want to sell your products. And on this course, we're always going on about Tata and Jaguar Land Rover and the automotive industry within the UK, which is really taken off. We now export more cars than we import. We're going to be much better in terms of resource use. We are going to be much better in terms of saving money in terms of oil and in terms of all commodities. So the whole industry is going to become much more resource efficient from there. There are workers on there, and the workforce is going to change. There's going to be a lot of new demand for programmers, machinists, tool makers, because they're going to work in the automated factories from there. We've also got nanotechnology, which is using obviously chemistry to change the molecular structure of items, and therefore to make those items even stronger or more flexible or more dynamic. So this is going to be a big part of manufacturing. We're going to have service-driven business models. In effect, what's going to happen is that the manufacturer is going to take on all the ideas of the customer to a much greater extent. So an easy example is you have your car, you can decide what's in your car, what colour it is, and then to look after those people during the whole process afterwards. Sourcing governance, it's how you get your materials, because in a world where there are fewer resources, that's going to be even more important. And finally, on there, 3D printing. Now, this has enormous implications for everyone, because if you do all of these things, obviously, there's going to be a massive rise in productivity. And there's a massive rise in productivity, there's also going to be a massive rise in growth, and therefore we're all going to become much wealthier. Now, there's a big argument at the moment out there, a big debate. Is this part here the new industrial revolution? Anyway, but I wanted to just give you an idea of all these different things on here, because in a way it is related to operations management. Although on the early papers on AQA, on Unit 1, 2 and 3, you're not going to, you will not have to talk about this, but for Unit 4 you will need to do that. And for future papers in the future and for yourselves, these are going to be the big issues. Because in terms of economics and business, if you do all these things, you're going to have a massive rise in productivity, and so you're going to get more growth. Thank you. Relate these operational targets here towards profit over here. It's always quite a good piece of analysis on here. We should also have, I suppose, in terms of cash, because every time there's a big increase in technology, obviously you're going to spend an awful lot of money, and if you spend an awful lot of money, that's going to hit your cash flow on there. Okay, so we've just been through these operational targets. I did 8 previously, and now only got 6. But quality standards, therefore you can charge a higher price. Cost minimisation, therefore you're going to reduce your costs. If you increase your capacity utilisation, your fixed cost per unit will fall. Developing innovative products, you can charge a higher price. Reducing lead times, you're going to get to market. You will get first mover advantage, and environmental targets. It gives you a unique selling point. So actually, as I'm just talking through that, I can see, right, environmental targets, unique selling point, reducing lead times, first mover advantage, developing innovative products. Therefore, you can charge higher prices, and your price elasticity of demand will probably go down, e.g. like the iPhone, certainly in the short term. If you can increase capacity, current output divided by max output times 100 over 1. Cost minimisation, you can charge lower prices than anyone else. The best example of that right now is Audi and Lidl. And quality standards, therefore you can charge a higher price. Therefore on here, therefore from there, we are going to get profit on here, and we're going to get gross profit margin and also net profit margin on here. Now, I've just done the 10 megatrends. Now, clearly, if we can use 3D technology, and we can use nanotechnology, which in terms of investment is absolutely huge, but if you can implement those factors, then your variable costs are going to go down and your gross margins are going to go right up. And if you can do all of these things, like raising quality, then you can increase your prices, so therefore your net profit is going to go up again. And actually, if your profit goes up, then how much you invest into the business, then you're also going to get a rise in your return on capital employed. If you get a rise in your return on capital employed, then you're going to be able to invest more money in the future. Now, this is an easy piece of analysis. So when we talk about operations management, we need to be also thinking about the profit and the net profit margin formula, the gross profit margin formula, and also return on capital employed. And of course, once we do all of those things, then we also need to be thinking about marketing as well, and we also need to be talking about human resources on top of this. Okay, because obviously to implement an operations management strategy, you need to have the right workers involved, and once you create the great product, then you obviously need to market it as well. Okay, thank you.